Hello, I'm Emily David, Director of the Library Department for Springfield. This includes the Springfield Public Library, Where Minds Grow, and the Springfield History Museum. I'm here to give you a brief overview of our proposed FY22 budget. But first, I'd like to thank the Budget Committee for volunteering their time to review our departmental budget as well as the entire city budget. I'd also like to acknowledge Library Manager Carrie Shendley-Couples for her work in preparing our departmental budget. The mission of the Springfield Public Library is to provide library services for personal enrichment, enjoyment, and lifelong learning. And the mission of the Springfield History Museum is to foster an appreciation of the history of Springfield, provide a link between the past and the present, and to promote an appreciation of the diverse communities who choose to live in Springfield and the rural East Lane County. In order to provide the services to meet these missions, we divide our department's work into 5 programs. The Springfield Arts Commission program contains the resources for the .5 Arts Commission Liaison, the Heritage Arts Grants Program, City Hall Gallery Curation, and maintenance of the downtown murals. The museum program contains the resources for staffing, exhibit curation, care and maintenance of the artifact collection, and educational programming for all ages. Much of this programming is done in collaboration with the library. Library operations is where all of our general fund personnel is allocated, funding for marketing and development, as well as our volunteer program and tech subscriptions for library infrastructure. Library Collections is the program where we maintain our digital and print collections. We shifted some funding to purchase additional ebooks during the pandemic and spent a total of $45,000 on digital collections and database subscriptions in FY21. We've also filled 50,000 holds during the building closure. Library Services is the program that contains all of the direct services we provide to the public, including circulation of the materials, reference help, outreach to engage the greater community with library services, and programming for all ages and in Spanish. This slide shows the organizational chart for our department with 16.63 FTE. This includes 0.63 for library substitutes. The only change to this chart from FY21 is that we are making our 0.6 grant-funded outreach specialist a whole position with TRT funding to help support the newly updated museum, where, due to the workload, additional FTE is needed. The chart also includes the boards, commissions, and committees that are staffed out of the library and the museum, as well as the Friends and Foundation groups. Together, these groups provide oversight and funding support. The Lane Council of Librarians, or LCAL, is supported by the Library Tech Specialists. Together with these libraries, we share an integrated library system, which allows us to share materials. The IGA for this pays a portion of the tech specialist's salary. The proposed budget for the library department this year is just over $2,133,000. Here you see the amount broken down by fund. The majority of the department funding comes from the 100 or general fund. 204 is our gift and memorial fund where we receive donations and grants to support programs, collections, and special projects. The personnel cost reflected here is for the grant-funded outreach position. And the 208 or transient room tax fund provides funds for the museum and the Springfield Arts Commission staffing and budgets. This slide again highlights our support groups and volunteers because we really couldn't do what we do without them. We are dependent on volunteers to shelf our books, help with materials processing, and assist at programs. The 960 hours logged this year came predominantly from just 2 volunteers who were able to continue helping during the closure. Typically, we have over 7,000 volunteer hours in a year. The funds raised by the Foundation and Friends pays for the bulk of our programs and special projects, as well as enhances our collections. These accomplishments are all checked off because we listed them as initiatives for FY21, and check, we got them done. The new website or virtual library where patrons can access our digital resources 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, was redesigned and created in-house by library staff. It is more ADA and mobile device compatible and has more access to services integrated into it. The forced closure of the museum due to the pandemic allowed for the completion of the major remodel and updated and relocated the permanent collection to the main floor and created collection storage and workspace on the second floor. We are very excited to open and have the public enjoy the new and improved museum. We also are continuing to update the library space. We reconfigured and added a tween space to the children's area, as you see in the photo. The result is a kids and tween area which recognizes the needs of all our young library users. These updates were paid for from gift and memorial funding. The Get On Board outreach specialists expanded from a 0.4 to a 0.6 position just in time to pivot services in response to the pandemic. With the Mills Davis Foundation grant, we launched a digital library card drive, connecting families with needed information and entertainment during this difficult period, and supported at-home education. We reallocated a portion of grant funds to increase ebook collections and offer circulating internet hotspots. And we now have online credit card payments and a remote printing option. We continue to strive to make our services more user-friendly and efficient. Foundation funding paid for the remote printing service. The library department staff has worked very creatively and exhaustively to continue to provide services during this difficult pandemic time. Reference services continued via phone, including help in Spanish. Digital cards and the updated website have provided greater access to online resources. We have issued 1,250 digital cards and have seen a 34% increase in ebook downloads. Through curbside pickup services, we provide access to the physical collection and have had over 9,000 pickups. The take and make kits for all ages can be picked up at curbside and have been greatly appreciated by patrons. In July, we began providing computer appointments because we understand that access to the internet is essential for participating in the world today. One patron came in one week to fill out a job application and was overjoyed when he came the next week to fill out paperwork for his new job, saying that if it weren't for access at the library, he wouldn't have gotten that job. We were able to continue much of our programming in an online format. In the photo here, you see Latino liaison librarian Kristen providing a virtual bilingual story time. We even started our own YouTube channel, and staff has posted 194 informational, educational, and entertaining videos to date. We were able to provide 2 multi-week programming initiatives that included downtown businesses and the larger community. A Dia de los Muertos celebration and the Seasons of Light programming were both very successful at engaging the community in a COVID-safe way with local performers and artists. Both included public displays that we were able to showcase from the museum windows. You also see in this slide a progression of the remodel of the exhibit space at the museum. As we look forward to FY22, we know that part of the year will be dedicated to reopening the library and museum in a safe and effective way. We have learned a lot from this past year, and we will continue some of the services that we have created to provide access during the pandemic, including our digital cards and the personalized Picks option, where a patron can call or fill out a form at the virtual library website and request books on a certain subject in a certain genre or for a certain age group, and a librarian will fill that order to be picked up. This has been a very popular service. We will work to remove barriers by continuing outreach efforts to engage non-users and niche populations with pop-up library events in strategically determined locations in the community. We have written into the Mills Davis grant this year funding to purchase laptops and tablets to circulate. The pandemic has highlighted the digital divide and the need for access to technology for all of our community. And we will continue to seek sustainable funding for the FESL program to provide library cards to all Springfield Public Schools students and their families. And as we look down the road and wait to determine the fate of a new library facility, we will we will be considering how to continue to expand services into our community. The photo here shows workers from Riverbend receiving materials for young patients from our outreach specialists. Riverbend is one of 15 new community outreach partners. And the second photo shows lockers that could be placed in the community to facilitate library holds pickup after hours and in different areas than the downtown location. Tools like this or a pop-up library van would allow us to better reach the greater community. The changing demographics and needs of the community mean that we have to consider how to best allocate our limited resources. In times of economic difficulty, libraries are historically busier than ever. We anticipate as we move out of the pandemic and people start to rebuild and respond to their changed economic situations that the library will be very busy. We will also be considering the age and infrastructure of the library, which means we will continue to need building updates. The museum building also needs some ADA and environmental updates. The costs of collections continue to increase, and this is another consideration. We supplement these costs from our Gift and Memorial Fund, but collections are part of the core services of that the library provides, and this needs to be considered in our budget. In FY22, we will develop a new 5-year strategic plan to address the considerations listed here. I just want to end on a note of acknowledgement of the difficult year that our entire community, nation, and indeed our world has faced. We at the library and the museum, along with the other departments, have dedicated ourselves to finding creative ways to safely continue to provide services and to support our community, our local businesses, and each other. On this slide, you will see some of the many thank you notes we have received, and also a few home photos of one of the take and make kits, this one the altar kit from Dia de los Muertos. I am proud of our city staff. We are good stewards of the public dollars and that this budget provides, and we are making a difference in people's lives. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation. And if you have any questions or need any further information, please feel free to get in touch with me. You can find my contact information on our virtual library website at wheremindsgrow.org. Thank you very much.